Here tracking the temperatures.
Hey, we do. Boston may briefly hit the low 70s early this afternoon, but later in the afternoon, we're going to get that sea breeze kick in, which we didn't have yesterday, and that's going to cool us down in Boston quickly to the 60s, whereas inland, you're going to be pretty warm. It's bright and sunny out there. Our temperature is warming up pretty nicely. Look, Boston, you're already at 70, Norwood 71, New Bedford 72, a little bit cooler in spots of the Cape, but generally we're warming up pretty quickly. Away from the coastline, highs very warm once again, mid to the upper 70s. Along the coast, though, we have the sea breeze. Yesterday, we had such a strong westerly wind, it kind of prevented the sea breeze from happening. That's not the case today, so the coast is going to be quite a bit cooler. By the late afternoon, you've got the sea breeze. There's Boston back into the 60s, but farther inland, some spots even pushing 80 degrees. Early tomorrow morning, lows only in the 50s for most of us. And then again, as we get to tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be warm in the mid to the upper 70s. Not much of a sea breeze tomorrow. Then it all comes crashing down. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're all back to the 60s, as we should be for this time of year, considering we're only 9 days from Halloween, less than 2 weeks when we fall back. More on the forecast coming up.
And we're back to celebrate.
Today's going to be a little bit cooler than yesterday in Boston, but still overall an absolutely gorgeous day. Cooling down later on this week. I've got more on that coming up. We tied it, then an hour later we broke it. Boston hit 83 degrees yesterday. Previous record, by the way, was standing for 104 years. No big deal. That was 82 degrees. Worcester was only a degree shy of its record. They hit 79, and the record was 80 degrees. It was so warm yesterday. Along the coastline, though, yesterday we got warm along the coast because we had a strong westerly wind that pushed out the sea breeze. Today, that's not the case. So Boston, you may briefly warm to the low 70s. However, this afternoon, you're actually going to be cooling back to the 60s. So it's actually going to feel a little bit cool by about 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Rest of the coast, you're going to be staying in the 60s, but farther inland, it's super warm. I mean, mid to the upper 70s for highs today. So tonight, Celtics game, pre-game, if you're going a little bit early, if you're going out for dinner or anything like that, again, get ready for the 60s, especially if you're coming from a spot where your temperature is going to go from 78, 80 degrees, close to 62 degrees by the time you make it to the city for the evening hours. 11 o'clock, you're down to 57. But you are nice and clear, so you don't have to worry about any rain. Tomorrow, we do have a stronger wind, so we're not worried about as much of a sea breeze. It is going to be a little bit cooler at the Cape and the Islands tomorrow, but Boston tomorrow, you're back to 77. The rest of us tomorrow are going to be nice and warm, reaching the mid to the upper 70s for high temperatures. So tomorrow's the last warm day, at least for a little bit, before temperatures start cooling back off. We're in the 60s again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which is actually close to average for this time of year, so that's where you should be. Sunday is actually going to be a brutal day. That's going to feel pretty chilly. There's going to be a breeze that day. Farther away from the coast, a lot of us reaching the low 50s, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of us had a hard time making it out of the upper 40s on Sunday. It's a little bit dry out there, too. We know that. We actually have moderate drought for 17% of the state. The rest of the state, we're at abnormally dry conditions. And looking forward, well, we do have a chance for a sprinkle, maybe a spot shower some days later on this week. Generally, we're not looking at any real soaking wet weather. I mean, this is the long-term outlook for rainfall for the end of the month, and it's looking pretty dry in our area. Yesterday, we got almost nothing for rainfall amounts, not almost nothing, we got nothing. For the month, we're 2 inches below average already just this month alone. We do have a surplus for the year if you look at rainfall in Boston. However, that surplus used to be significant, and it's quickly dwindling. If you're doing any national travel for tomorrow, a lot of the country's quiet. You got some chances for rain in western New York and Pennsylvania, but otherwise you shouldn't be having any issues if you're doing any air travel. And on the 7-day forecast, we go from the 70s down to the 60s. Again, chilly for late this weekend into the start of next week with highs down to the 50s.